Hello again, everybody. Welcome into Gamecock Central Radio. Emerson Phillips joined by Wes Mitchell, and we've got South Carolina wrapping up the regular season today. In fact, the 2015 season came to an end for the Gamecocks with this 37-32 loss to Clemson. Wes, South Carolina really, I thought, played defensively against the run. I was impressed with the way the Gamecocks came out and played today. I thought the effort was as good as it's been all year, and the Gamecocks played hard for 60 minutes, but it was not good enough to beat the number one team in the country.
Yeah, effort was certainly there, Emerson. I think it was one of these games where, you know, South Carolina just tried to do everything they could to just hang around, and then maybe try to steal one there in the end. You know, you looked up the scoreboard and at 28-25 at one point, Clemson turned over. The crowd was going insane, and you know, I think you look at Clemson. I know Carolina fans probably won't give them a whole lot of credit, but you looked at 28-25. Clemson was in a situation where they had to have a drive, and they absolutely got the job done, converted a bunch of third downs, got down the field. And, you know, if you're looking at it from a Carolina perspective, you're saying, even if you can just hold them to a field goal, you got a shot to, you know, drive back down and possibly win the game. But when it really came down to it, Clemson was able to make plays and win the game. So, you know, I think Carolina played very, very hard, but you also have to give Clemson credit for when the game was on the line, they, you know, made the plays they needed to.
Wes, Clemson fumbled 3 times in this ball game, and, you know, the Gamecock defense did a good job creating turnovers today, and this speaks to the effort that the Carolina defense gave, but it really felt like, you know, Clemson did everything it could to help the Gamecocks' cause with these 3 turnovers today, but the Gamecocks, as has been the case much of the year, struggled in the red zone, and they simply weren't able to turn those turnovers into touchdowns.
Yeah, you know, I think this was a game where if South Carolina was going to win, they were going to have to, you know, take advantage of every opportunity they had. They took advantage of some of them, but certainly not all of them. And then, I thought you look at the end of the half, South Carolina's down 14-0. You know, they had elected to kick a field goal earlier in the half, you know, from, you know, the 37-yard line. I think that was a 54-yarder. They, of course, missed that one. Then they got down there, and I understand the thought process of saying you've got to try to find some points, but against the number one team in the country, my thought process was, you know what, you probably have to just go ahead and just roll the dice and go for it here. And I kept thinking the whole game that, you know, they're going to look back to that decision of kicking the field goal to make it 14-3 before the half and say those extra 4 points, if you know, you had converted, there's no guarantee you would convert, but just to beat a number one team, I feel like you have to take some chances. You have to kind of roll the dice a little bit, and I'm not so sure that that's what South Carolina did. They tried very hard. There's a lot of effort from the player standpoint, but I'm not sure that they quite laid it all out there as far as taking every chance they could to actually try and steal one.
Recapping the Clemson-South Carolina game today, Clemson beat the Gamecocks 37-32. The Tigers wrap up their regular season undefeated. They get North Carolina in the ACC championship game next week. And South Carolina wraps up the year 3-9. The Gamecocks 1-7 in SEC play to close this 2015 season. Wes, Brandon Wilds was injured in the game. He only had 3 carries for 8 yards, and I felt like that put Gamecock quarterbacks in a bit of a tough spot because we've seen this year that the Gamecock running game is better when Wilds is on the field. So it was David Williams and Sean Carson, trying to pick up the slack a little bit today. I thought they did a pretty good job, but no question that having Brandon Wilds helps Perry Orth. And we even saw Lorenzo Nunez back in at quarterback today. He got nicked up a couple times during the ball game, and Pharoh Cooper even ran some wildcats. So Coach Elliott this week said that he was going to pull out all the stops to try to beat Clemson.
Yeah, I like seeing Nunez in there. I think that, you look at the 2-point conversion try where he looked like he was going to be stopped short, and he kind of powered through, showed some tenacity, I guess would be the way to say it. I think that's something South Carolina was going to have, was that playmaking ability that Nunez brings to you. Sean Carson really, I think has had some really nice moments this year and probably had one of his better games as far as making some plays for Carolina. Like you said, with Wilds out, Sean Carson kind of stepped up and did his job. But, at the end of the day, you just look at this offense, and I think it kind of comes down to the problems that has plagued them all year long is the fact that they don't necessarily have quite enough playmakers. You look at Tennessee game, Texas A&M game, Florida game, close football games where South Carolina does just enough to kind of hang around, but just is not quite able to do quite enough to pull it out. And today's game, to me, just felt kind of just similar to a lot of the South Carolina games this season.
Pharoh Cooper wraps up his Gamecock career with a 4-reception day for 86 yards, but he did have the 57-yard TD reception in the second half. So a great way for him to wrap up his career, even though it was in a loss. It was nice to see Pharoh Cooper running free at Williams-Brice, as we've seen for much of the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think when you look back on Pharoh Cooper's career, I don't know if we quite have given this guy enough credit for just how tough he is. You look, I looked at him last week, the Citadel loss. I know the fans don't want me to bring that up again, but, South Carolina's losing to an FCS opponent. Pharoh is hurt. He had his, foot wrapped in the first half. He's basically limping out there to line up at wide receiver, and he's still making plays, not just catching the football, but fighting for extra yardage, trying to find a way to spin off guys, run through guys, just, finding a way to make plays. And I think if I look back on Pharoh Cooper's career, the way that kid just gave an effort on the field, off the field, did everything the right way, I really don't know right now, as you kind of look at his career. I know everyone knows he's good. I'm not sure if fans quite give him enough credit for just how good that guy is. But, personally, he's someone that, some college football guys come, they go, it's cyclical. 3-4 years, guys come in and they rotate out. But personally, I'm really just going to miss watching Pharoh Cooper go out there and do his thing, and just the way he handles himself is really, really something you have to admire.
Certainly class act on and off the field, and I think he goes down as one of the Gamecock greats. Even though his career is only 3 years at South Carolina, I think he made the right decision turning pro, and I think Gamecock Nation obviously wishes him the best with his professional career. As much as Gamecock fans would like to see him come back one more year, I think most people would agree that he's ready to go on to the next level. So nice to see Pharoh Cooper get that last Gamecock touchdown today. One other item, Wes, as we look to the future here, Debo Samuel, the redshirt freshman out of Chapman High School here in South Carolina, had a 100-yard day today, caught a touchdown pass, and I think this is a name we might be hearing more in the future.
Yeah, that's a guy I've really, really been high on for a while, and I think has a huge amount of ability, can make plays for you. I think that he's a guy that kind of gives you, I think you saw today, gives you a little bit of a matchup where you feel like you like your chances when he's healthy. And I think South Carolina kept going back to that. They saw that they had a little advantage there, one-on-one coverage with him against the Clemson secondary. Orth made some really good throws to him on the slant and the fade route there for the touchdown. And here's a guy that I think we all thought coming into the year could kind of be that second wide receiver for Pharoh Cooper, for Jarrell Adams there at tight end, kind of to take some pressure off, but he's been hurt all year long. And I think moving forward, you look at him, who's going to be the playmakers in 2016? You probably say Debo Samuel's got a chance to be one of those guys. And, whoever that new coach coming in may be, whoever's front of the offense, probably saying, this is a guy I need to try to get the football to.
All right, Wes, so where does South Carolina football go from here? First priorities as we move into a very important couple of months for recruiting. Obviously, we got the coaching transition that we believe is imminent, should take place very soon. How soon do you expect to see a change or an announcement for head coach, and what will be the top priorities for the immediate future for Gamecock football?
Yeah, I think if you're Ray Tanner, you're looking obviously at Tom Herman, you're looking at Kirby Smart. Both those guys, it looks like, are going to be playing in a conference championship. So I think that does possibly extend the timetable out just a little bit, but I think it seems like Tom Herman has been Ray Tanner's top target, so it sounds like he's not giving up on him. But if you kind of look at the percentages, it certainly feels like right now, when you look at the fact that Kirby Smart is a guy that probably takes South Carolina's job, that's very interested in South Carolina's job, and also someone that's going to be looking very closely, I think, what's going on at Georgia with Mark Richt. I think that the timetable is probably still, I would say in the next week and a half or so. But, just still, I think the deal is to pay very, very close attention to those two guys. And, possibly if Smart is a candidate at Georgia or not, I think is the thing South Carolina fans should be paying a lot of attention to right now.
Wes, we appreciate your time here on Gamecock Central Radio, and thanks for your insight as always. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Emerson. Have a good one.
Okay, Wes Mitchell, and I'm Emerson Phillips, and this is Gamecock Central Radio. We'll have more coming up here in the days and weeks to come on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for joining us.